Well, hello everybody, and welcome to George is here. Welcome to the comment feedback uncensored. Today is the first day George is in the house, and I think I better do a proof of life here thing. He's not terrible. George isn't terribly happy, are you, George? But he's just making a lot of noise. He's been in here for about 10 minutes now. He didn't enjoy being carried over here and is trying to figure out just what the heck is going on. But under here we have a beautiful little litter box for him. So you're doing okay, George? Tell everybody you're doing okay. So for all of you that have been asking, hang on, let me get this turned around and snapped in here. It's not snapping in. Come on, snap. There we go. Been asking about George. I appreciate the concern, but George is just fine. And after a couple days, I'm sure he's going to love being in here all day. So we're going to go through the comments, and the first three were on this positive news video about Buford the dog, the farm dog that saved a little boy that was lost like overnight, and Buford found him and took care of him and brought him home to the farm. And we got Terry Duncan saying dogs are the best. Topaz Farmer Travel has a big heart, and Ken Gray says what a wonderful cuddly dog. And Cotty Wample on the last Uncensored Viewers, the last one of these videos. I was just going to say Robin Williams back in his work days wore rainbow suspenders. And I'm still thinking about that. I don't know. There's some days I feel like, hey, it'd be fun to have colored suspenders, and other days I think maybe not. Naj, hey, Rob, in regards to your suspenders. Oh, suspenders. I remember the late 70s suspenders were in style. You're just bringing them back in style. Big hug to Dottie and George. And you guys do you see Dottie? Can you see Dottie? Yeah, you can see her there. She's on the couch, and George is like right down there. Right there. But you can't see George on camera. George is staring at me. He's giving me like, what the heck are we doing? Look. Ken Gray says the noise in the background I was talking about was the sound of birds, and there was probably a fan that would oscillate back and forth, sounded kind of like waves on a beach. Oh, I didn't realize that. That doesn't sound like that. That sounds good, yeah. Ken says, don't feel bad about suspenders. I've worn them since in my 40s. Mine are blue or green. I have a black pair for formal occasions. So maybe I'll go on Amazon and see if I can... this doesn't seem right. See if I can get maybe how about a red pair? A red pair? This is all twisted up. I think these metal things should be at the same level, right? Maybe a red pair? I think I might be able to look for a red pair. Judy. Hey, Judy. If you lose another 20 pounds, even the suspenders won't work. Maybe not on these pants. Yeah, I've lost since I got the operation, the surgery, I've lost about 15 pounds. But I need to lose more. Like the doc said, if you want to keep that left hip, you got to get your weight down. So I'm working on it. Don Colin Creative says, try not to let the trolls get into your head. Keep up positivity. That's on, let's see, another Buford comment. Wow, from Naj, that's amazing. Buford had a good parenting instinct. He knew the toddler was lost, and he guided him to a safe place, his home, so the rancher could help him. God bless him with a long, healthy life. And then I did a positive news on 61 years ago today. That was the other day, was the announcement of the Ford Mustang, an amazing car. And what a big win for Ford. And Ken Gray says, I'm almost as old as this car. I'm older than the car, Ken. Lisa, hey, Lisa. One of my good friends from high school had a Mustang, such a great car. Good friend, too. Steve Craig says, it was built on the Falcon frame. And we also had a Falcon. We had a black Ford Falcon with a 3 on the tree before the Mustang. But that's interesting that it was built on the Falcon frame. Just night and day compared to outward appearance of those two vehicles, with the instrument panel identical to the interior Falcon. Thanks for the memories. Naj says, I have a 1966 Mustang. You do, Naj? Wow. We restored it in 1992. I love it. And yes, it's fast. Author Deborah Dickinson. Deborah. Nice setup, Rob. Good for you. On the Rented and Done, a little tour of the little tiny house here. Rush Hancock, I agree. Nice. On the same video. Ricky 2545 on my second Hisense TV. Save your receipt. I got the extended warranty this time. The other one crapped out in under 3 years. For the money, though, it's almost worth it. You know, it almost is. If this thing craps out after 3 years and I have to spend another $200, I'm okay with that. Let's see. Barb. Hey, Barb. Good to hear from you. Very nice. It's great as a second room. Do you cook, shower, and sleep in your rig? Of course. Of course I do. Katie Cat. Thanks, sir. In my humble opinion, this is now my favorite that you've made. That's the on the Ford Mustang. Cotty Wample said on the Rented and Done, that's awesome. I thought the apartment came furnished. Sounds like a good plan. Yeah, I thought it came furnished too, but it didn't. I had to do my own thing. It sounds like a good plan, but if you went through it, the only thing I spent any kind of serious money on was the couch. Everything else is like stuff that I had and very inexpensive stuff. Like back there's a table and chairs, $160. Oh, Scotty Wample has more to say. There's a read more. This would be a way to go because sometimes you get tired of looking for the next camping spot. This gives you an opportunity to rest between travels. Absolutely. Let's see. Click and move up. Joella Janice. I like your new place. Sounds like you made the right decision for you. Yeah, it does. It feels right. RV Life said, good decision. It looks really sweet. Cotty Wapple says, oh, Roswell Dog Park is closed until further notice due to a doggy disease in the area, just in case you head there. Love going to the one in Quartzsite with that new pup of mine. Yeah, he got a new puppy in Quartzsite. Lisa, hey, sounds like a plan. Alvin Musoon, nice video. This is all on the Rented and Done. Texas lady, looks really nice. Happy you found a new home base. Dottie looks very settled and comfortable. Just checking out George. Still sitting there, wondering what the F is going on. What the H? How about H? What the heck? Let's see. Taylor Carmouche. Happy for you, brother. We were in RV full-time for almost 6 years. We're now part-timers and have a home base in Central Texas. We're also in Quartzsite this past winter. It's good to be home for the summer. We still do short trips while we're home. Can't give up the travels completely. Definitely a good balance. Enjoy your new home and safe travels. Thanks, Rob. Wow, half insurance. I'm currently in Arizona about to sell my sticks and bricks. Original. Nice setup you have there. Isn't it crazy how TVs have advanced in so much and came down in price? I remember my husband and I buying a floor model TV in the early 90s. Not only did it weigh a ton, it was a pain to move. It cost $400 on sale. I remember buying a Sony, is it Sony Trinitron? It was way more, I think it was way more than $400, and it was definitely in the 90s. And it was really heavy. I mean, you couldn't, it took at least 2 people to move it. That was before flat screens. Okay. Hi, Rob. I just wanted to say check before you head to Eagle's Nest. The campground was closed last year for renovations to the campground. I was going to go this year, but it looks like to be closed. And I answered, I said, well, I'm not going to the state park. And she said, oh, okay. Didn't know there were 2 Eagle Nests. There aren't. I have the yearly park pass to visit all the parks until I head back to Quartzsite in the fall. I don't know. And this is Nana 210. Nana. There are RV parks, and there's a state park 7 miles from Eagle Nest in Cimarron. So there are lots of other options than the park that you're talking about. So there might be an Eagle Nest. There's more than one Eagle Nest, but there's only one Eagle Nest in New Mexico, and that's the one I'm talking about. So check out, you got your state park pass. You want to hang an Eagle Nest, go to Cimarron, in Cimarron, the state park there. They have 2 smaller parks. One it seems really packed and closed in, and the other one, I can't remember the names of them, but they're across the street from each other. Go to the one that looks like a giant parking lot. That's the cool one. I like that. And the parking lot is marked off spaces that are not reservable spaces, so you really don't even need a reservation. You just need a park pass to go there. So that's true. That was true last year. Make sure it's true this year. But I loved the reserve spots along the edge of that big parking lot. But I enjoyed being in the parking lot. It was really nice. The views are just gorgeous. It's great stuff. James P. Nice little home base you have now. My last Amazon orders for last week are being held up in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota for some reason. We were supposed to be here yesterday. Yeah, that happens every once in a while. Stuff gets stuck in the transportation system. The Mad Camper, great little rental, Rob. Congrats. What about cooking? Do you do that in the trailer? Hey, I was going to land in Pahrump with Nevada residency, but it sounds like New Mexico might save money. Yeah, you might. The idea is quite enchanting. Yeah, it's a gorgeous state. Tons of stuff to travel around and see. Glad to see you walking around without pain. Good job. And have fun playing cards with 3 aliens around your new table. That's funny. Yeah, I am close to Roswell. Arizona Zoe, you're doing great. Hi, Dottie. Ken Gray says, good place for your residence. Hope you enjoy it. Susan Jack, nice man cave. There's a lot of history there at White Sands. They tested the first atomic bomb in 1945. The Trinity site. I've never visited the area, but here the sand dunes are awesome. Go before it gets too hot. Have you seen the series Manhattan? I believe it's on Prime Video. Pretty interesting flick. There are also others about the making of the bomb. I need to get down that way. And there's a museum there, I'm pretty sure. I do want to get down there. I like your place. I hope you'll be happy there. Dottie looks comfy. George is looking more comfortable. George isn't looking panicky anymore. Stacy Jones says, sweet, love it. This is all on the place here. Until we get to this one, it's another one on the Mustang. Dan said, Daniel K says, believe it or not, the first Mustang ever sold was at Parsons Ford in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, for the furthest easterly point in North America. It's currently on display at the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan, and its Newfoundland plate's still on it. Interesting little tidbit there, Daniel. Dibsy Actual, well done, Rob. You got a great setup. Carlsbad Caverns is life-changing. Be sure to go. I will. I promise I'll go. And I promise to take you with me. You look happy. I am happy. That's from Stacy Jones. And Judy, again, to me, that's huge. She's talking about the space. Judy has, she's in a Class C. It's not very big. And it is huge. It's like, for a place to rent, like an apartment or a little house, it's a little house, but it's the size of a studio apartment, right? And that seems really small unless you've been traveling in a small trailer for years. And it's like huge. It's enormous. I can't get over how huge it feels. Wow, Rob, you got a dorm room. Dottie gets the couch for herself, and George is living the life in the camper for 16 hours a day. Good move. Well, that was true. But George is over here today for the first day. and it's looking good so far. I was a little concerned in the first 10 minutes or so. He was just like, yeah, it's not meowing, but kind of yowling and walking around and unsettled, but it looks better. Let's see. So I guessing you're doing your cooking in the RV. Good guess. Good guess. But I have food here. Like I've got a, you probably can't see it. There's a fridge here. I've got cold stuff in there. And Beans and Rice says, "Hey Rob, I've been following your healing process and have to see you in such great shape. Been a while since commenting, yet sincerely want to offer congrats on your new place. You're definitely living the dream. Want also comment on how you stay grounded. So inspiring. Great video and wish more people saw the virtue and paying it forward. Cheers." Thanks, Beans and Rice. Betty Hagan says, "We visited New Mexico in February. It was chilly, but we loved it. We went to White Sands in a sandstorm. You would think that was a bad thing, but it was pretty awesome. Carlsbad Caverns is a must-see." Borendell, I grew up down there. Some of the nicest people in the world are down there. And Lee, Eddy, and Chavez counties. Yes, young men will see a senior trying to lift a box and they'll go out of their way to come lift it for you. Serious crime is low, too. I really love the little town of Artesia. And just the people are so nice. And the crime is serious crime is very low. I mean, the big problem is kids stealing bicycles and stuff like that. Pup Camper, hey, my friend. She gave me a heart and a smile. Shauna Lee Lang, congrats on the new digs. Glad to see you jumping out of that chair like a 20-year-old. Like a 20-year-old, that's funny. RV Life says, love those Mustangs. Everybody liked that Mustang video. How many views did I usually get about 100 views on these positive news videos. They're not, they're not RV related, and it's not my niche. So I don't do it for the views. But what did we get? I got one for today on helicopters relocating rhinos. That's pretty cool. I'm publishing that one. Where is the Mustang one? 330 views. That's a lot for one of my positive news videos. In the helicopter one, I got to share it to Facebook. Next, share. Bing. Connection taking longer than expected. There we go. All right. Tamara Lemon says, love your new place. Thank you, Tamara. Let's click on that. We move up. Pup Camper, well said, my friend. Your gray beer looks amazing. Thank you, Cheryl. I miss you, Cheryl. Cheryl's back east. Robert Nasser, nice and happy for you. Thank you, Robert. Maria Fuentes, Dottie loves that quality sofa. Excellent cottage. It is a cottage. That's really what it is. I like that. It's a cottage. You've done well furnishing the cottage. You would be in great comfort. That's great. She says, Chris B says, oh, that's cute. I love the blue trim and shutters. Nosh says, hi, Rob. Should I call you ship's counselor? Just a Trekkie joke. Nice little place for the restroom. And sounds like there's a perfect for your needs. Enjoy. Big hug to Dottie and George. Thank you, Naj. Bill Wright, I'm very happy for you in your new adventure home. I'm sure it will work out well for you. Where is George? Well, I think I answered that. George is here now. Thinking maybe there's a camper right out the door and you have it plugged in to the rental. Yeah. Let's see. Donna Aparo, congrats. Always great to have a home base. Dusty Cat Travels. Oh, sounds lovely and you have a fun plan. I wouldn't like being landlocked. I've lived in California my whole life, near the ocean and near where I grew up in the high desert, an hour and a half away. But if you're Californian, you drive. It's expensive and a lovely base. I'm in Santa Barbara County. Happy trails. Hope to see you down the road. That is the Dusty Cat Travels. And then we have Texas Lady. I love that story. Seen it on Facebook. What a blessing. That's about Buford, the wonder dog, the rescue dog. And Barb, again, is back. My buddy Barb says on hip replacement on the road, the 1 month mark video. That was last week and probably the last video in the series. You're doing great. So happy to do. You're seeing. Well, if anybody's interested, the only thing that's happening now is, you know, the range of motion isn't complete. I can lift my leg up to put my sock on now, but it's painful to do that. Like, you know, lifting the knee up towards the chest is painful. The muscles are, and there's a little nerve damage. Temporary. Don't worry, it's temporary damage. It's typical on the top of my thigh and the side of my thigh. Those nerves got greatly disturbed during the surgery, and they need time to heal up. I'll be fine. Let's see. Jeff said, Chicken Ranch and Art Bell Landmarks and Pahrump. That's a short that's a few years old, but Jeff commented on it. Nothing was better to be camped out in the middle of nowhere and listening to Art Bell. I remember I wasn't camping when I was younger listening to Art Bell, but it was always at night, and it was always this mysterious from the high desert in the land of Nye. It just, and I never knew what the land. I didn't know what the land of Nye was, but it's Nye County. I didn't know that then. Now I know that. Let's see. So we got a lot of stuff from CBCW76, someone that knows a lot about this area. So it's gonna give you a lot of information here. You won't drive Carlsbad to El Paso very often. Driving west from Roswell to Ruidoso is a narrow, windy roads that go from flat to pretty forested and mountainous. On a map, it only looks like that far in a pinch, but there are hidden hours on the road. Southeast New Mexico, Roswell, Carlsbad has one of the big negatives for seniors: hospitals. Heart oncology will be a 4-hour drive either to Albuquerque or Lubbock. And actually, Lubbock is definitely probably the choice hospital. They have a teaching hospital there. In fact, all of New Mexico except Albuquerque and Santa Fe are devoid of hospitalization. Roswell stitch you up and puts casts on, but for long term they will push you into Lubbock or Albuquerque. If you're closer to Carlsbad, there's also Odessa Midland. Las Cruces has seen an evacuation of medical care in favor of El Paso, although across the border is a big consider for EPers. I don't know what that means. So yeah, that's a good point. That unlike Quartzsite, and certainly much unlike Pahrump, it's a long way to a really good hospital. Now there's local hospitals within a half an hour drive if you're small hospitals for minor things, but for example, if something serious has happened, they'll transfer you, and they'll transfer if it's critical. They'll transfer you by helicopter. If you're going to schedule some kind of surgery, one of the beauties of being a nomad is I can pack the trailer up and set up camp like in an RV park near the hospital and recover there and then come back here. So it's not ideal, but I considered it for sure. So then they go on to say, east of Roswell, there's a wonderful Bottomless Lake State Park. I've been there. I've stayed there. Plus, if you're a rock hound, the Bottomless Lakes area is a giant ancient drainage area, and the gullies can be rich in Pecos Valley diamonds, quartz crystals from pebble size to thumb size, and agates. Central New Mexico is also the home of turquoise digging. Get a shovel and a gallon bucket. then there's more. Also, the Dexter Hagerman area are ex-farmlands now destroyed by their dairy farm invaders in the last 30 years. But for the small farms that haven't been deprived of all water, we want your water rights. Here's money. Go somewhere else or else drink stand. I guess that's what he's saying happened. And the native waters of these areas are barely drinkable anyway. You'll find June, July, and August and September to be rich in harvest. Melons especially. Cantaloupes, July and August might be the best I've ever tasted. Corn, chilies. If you're in small towns like Dexter, their churches and school festivals can be wonderful potlucks and gatherings of 100 to or 300 folks. So that's somebody that knows this area. Thank you for all taking the time to give us all that information. That's appreciated. Let's see. Didi Cornell, good morning. Missed a couple of days. I see you in a Sticks and Bricks rental. Dusty Cat Travels. This is great. Rob, guess what? Positive news for you. After a 3-year journey through stage 4 lung cancer, which is serious stuff, my husband is cancer-free. Yay! The doc didn't use the word remission. He has a few scans to go through in the following 3 to 6 months, but she said there's no signs of cancer. We are so grateful, want to share good news, and that is, I can't think of better news than that. Dusty Cat Travels, that is amazing. That is amazing news. Jim Beam, Rob, I love the way you think. I've Medicare now, and I found the perfect table for a lake house. I found the perfect table for a lake house in East Texas. Okay, you got a lake house in East Texas. That's great. He's talking about Air Medicare. AIR MEDCARE is a company that sells like $79 a year. You are covered for emergency helicopter evacuation, and it's a really good idea for. That wasn't on there completely right. I hope it didn't ruin the picture. That it was the wide angle lens. It's a really good idea because even if you have super insurance isn't going to pay usually isn't going to pay all of your 50, 60, 70, sometimes $80,000 bills for these air medical lifts, depending on what's happening and what they're doing and how far they're going. But this insurance will pay for it. Now, they don't pay for every air med in the country, but on their website, you put in the zip code where you're going to be staying, and they'll say whether the local air med is in their network. And everywhere that I go, it's covered. So that's a really good idea. $79 a year. $79 a year. Totally worth it. Ken Gray says, not a bad use for old support structure. And that is a positive news video where I thought this is really cool. These giant windmills that you see out west. They're super tall and they have those big blades, and in the center of the blade, they have the housing and the motor and everything. And from the ground, it doesn't look that big, but it's pretty big. And these things have a life of somewhere between 20 and 30 years. So 20 and 30 years, they're no good anymore. They have to somehow get rid of them and recycle them. Now, I don't know how they're recycling the blades, but the housing they've made into houses. I think that's really cool. And Ken says, not a bad use for the old support structure. Borendell says, I'm not sure many things in life, but I'm 100% sure that Social Security. Oh, this was on Full-Time RV, Social Security fears about Social Security. So I talked in a video quite a bit about that. But I'm 100% certain that Social Security will never be cut. I will say it's really hard to be 100% certain about anything, especially in politics. No politician of prominence will ever touch it. That's the thing. They don't have to touch it to cut it. It will be automatic. See, what you're not understanding, and maybe I didn't make clear in the video, is that the estimates from the organization that handles the Social Security Trust Fund says that, and it varies between 2033 and 2035, that they will run out of funds and they will have to cut Social Security benefit payments by 21% if nothing is done. So it'll be automatic. It won't be a politician voting for it. It'll be a thing that by law they have to do. They can't pay out more than they have, so they would have to cut benefits. And that is the big issue. So in order to do that, they have to somehow raise taxes or raise the retirement age or some combination of that. But to say no politician or promise will ever touch it, they don't need to touch it to cut it. So that's what you're not understanding. They will find that correcting the shortfall within the fraud, waste, and abuse will be adequate. And I so wish that were true. But so far, they haven't found any significant incremental fraud, waste, and abuse. And this isn't political. I've been to the Doge website to see what they found by agency, and it's basically nothing in Social Security in terms of fixed dollar amounts in fraud. So they haven't found anything yet. Maybe they'll find a bunch. I don't know. In addition, our country is way too prosperous. We have too many other resources to tap, and I'm not sure what that means. But I think, my friend, you're a little misled here. But I am fairly certain, let's call it, if I had to say, I'm 80% certain that they will fix it before it's cut. And my best guess is fixing it will be substantially raising the income limit on who pays into it has to pay the Social Security tax. And I think it's at like 160,000 or something now. If they raise that to, I don't know, some much bigger number, that'll bring a bunch of money in. And it wouldn't shock me if they raised, the full retirement age from 67 to 68, 69, or 70. Who knows? But I think there's an 80% chance that they'll find some combination of those things to correct it, so benefits won't be cut. And I think there's a 20% chance that they'll get frozen up and they won't do anything, and there will be cuts of 21%. So my point in it is, as a nomad, I'm going to just plan on a 20% cut in 5 to 7 years. So I prepare for that. So I'm not shocked by that. So that's what I was suggesting there. So John Barbara, many of these are on this same video. Hey Rob, great talk, calm and factual without fear mongering. Montana wife says, at this time I'm basically housebound without a lot of planning and coordinated, but I think that I could do that to go to the Social Security office. Is something I'm prepared to do because I do depend on my Social Security. And I was saying, if, there's a lot of cuts to the staffing and long waits, and there could be something in the future where you have to go to the Social Security office. And what's the worst case? That it's a 2-day wait or something, and I have to, drive my trailer to Albuquerque or Phoenix or whatever and park in an RV park and camp out and be in line at the Social Security office for 2 days to preserve my benefits. I'm not saying that's happening. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand. I'm saying that that's the worst case with the staffing cuts. We can do that. We can live through that. Chris in Two Shih Tzu says, my pension and Social Security was extra taxed by IRS the last 2 years. Now I have Social Security take out 20% each month to avoid paying each year, just starting the Medicare journey due to turning 65 in October. I don't know pension and Social Security extra taxed. I don't know what that means. I mean, pensions are always taxable. They've always been taxable. Social Security is taxable up to a certain amount depending on your income. And that could change in the future. There was a proposal I heard about to eliminate taxes on Social Security. So who knows? All right, here's well, do I want to go into this? I'm going to give a synopsis of Troy Taylor made a very long comment. And he said the whole problem with Social Security is fertility rates. And that's a way of saying we're in this position now because there's not enough people in the workforce paying taxes to pay for those of us baby boomers that are collecting Social Security. So that is it's not really, it's birth rate. I don't know. I guess they call it fertility rate. And he says it's trouble for it if it's below 2.1%. And we're evidently below that now. So he says, and it says to solve the problem through birth rate, it would take a generation to do. So that's the synopsis of his comments, and I don't doubt the accuracy. Joella Janice again. I turned 62 in January and applied for Social Security in December online. Received my first direct deposit in March. Social Security online service worked flawlessly for me. Me too, and Medicare. I did the online. They're both on the Social Security website. I did my Social Security and my Medicare, and it was easy peasy. Cushman says, great video. We still need POL, proof of life on George. Well, you got it on this one. Eat your pancakes, dummy. That is the name of the person's handle. Eat the pancakes, dummy. As a millennial, I probably won't see anything that I've paid into. I've accepted I will probably not retire. I think that's probably not true, but I totally understand why you would want to lower your expectations. I completely get that. JMN says privatizing Social Security might make it end up like a privatized medical system where a few people get rich as we pay more and less people get serviced. And I responded to that. I said, maybe not. I don't really know about what the potential for privatizing Social Security. I know people have strong feelings about it, but I'm in the I don't know camp. I really don't. Naj says, great video, very informative. That's Naj. Thank you, Naj. And Ken Gray says, good information there. I can apply for Social Security since I turned 62 this July. You can apply for benefits up to 4 months before the month you want to start receiving them, but your first check will always arrive the month after the month you specify as the start date. Important to note that I turned 62 between the 1st and the 10th, so I don't think I'll get my first check until the second Wednesday of August. So I turned 62 on the 28th of a month, and I think it was a full month, not the next month, but the month after I got my first check. For some reason, it was a little confusing. Let's see. Lunds at Large says we traveled east from Quartzsite through El Paso to Corpus Christi, scenic route. TDR says I felt comfortable going through the Social Security process online, but my financial advisor handles my IRA, so she has all my personal info anyway, offered to set it up for me. Since I was seeing her anyway, I took advantage of the offer. That's an option for anyone not comfortable with the process or just wants a trained pro to double check you. Jack Brown, Rob, as you explained, Social Security and Medicare are incredibly complicated subjects. They really should be classes to explain in detail a person's options. The online information put out by the government is not enough, and much of the time is too complicated to understand, especially if you don't have a background in law, accounting, and healthcare. It is Social Security, I don't think is all that hard to, I was going to say if it's simple, you're collecting retirement Social Security just for you, it's not complicated. If you're doing survivor benefits or anything complex or spouse stuff, yeah, it's complicated and it's tough to understand. But if it's just you and you're just collecting Social Security and it's straightforward, it's really not that complicated. Medicare, on the other hand, I don't care who you are. It took me close to a year to gain the level of understanding that I have now, and there's still things I do not understand. JB Barnes says, I don't believe it will be touched. It may have helped Social Security fraud being found also. I think there were a lot of news stories about, oh my God, they're giving away benefits to illegal aliens and dead people, and that ended up just not being the case. Sadly, that they really haven't found substantial fraud. And Jay Stepp goes in there and responds, unfortunately, in regards to saving money, no significant fraud has been found. There's no way a couple of kids with some software can locate fraud. I don't know about that. All they found is typos and data errors for non-fraud participants. There's already a system for locating fraud. Social Security, it works pretty well, but cutting personnel is going to make that less effective. That's probably true. Social Security is run by actuarial systems that are pretty good overall, or the system wouldn't function at all considering the size. It'd be nicer if they developed a long-term solution using math. Yeah, it'd be nice. All right. All right. There's a little misinformation in the next one here, and I kind of called it out. Good video. Virtually everything you said is true. However, there are a few things I would add. The baby boomers are a huge drain on the system. I am one and I am several years older than you. Adding to the drain of the fund is payments to people who do not fall under the original intention of the act. This includes disabled, general welfare, and don't yell at me, but non-citizens. The payment to non-citizens isn't new. It's been going on for a long time. I'm not suggesting the country shouldn't take care of the needy. The money is just being distributed from the wrong funds. I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to continue because that's misinformation. Okay. And I'll tell you what I wrote. It's not true at all what he says about disability and non-citizens. It does not come out of the Social Security Trust Fund. Documented, legally working immigrants pay into and receive retirements the same as you or me. You can read this on the U.S. Congress webpage. Please read up and either change or delete your comment. And I gave the references there. It doesn't come, those disability does not come out of Social Security funds. It's administered by Social Security, but it does not come out of the trust fund. It doesn't come out of the pool that we put into for retirement. It's completely separate. So it's just misinformation. But if you're curious and you want to go into that comment, I give retirement benefits this is from Congress. That's one link, and disability and welfare is a link to the Social Security website. King for a day. My wife and I have recently been a beneficiary of Social Security. For 35 years, we worked for an organization that paid into a private retirement fund instead of Social Security. Now, before and after the 35-year job, we paid into Social Security. Years ago, it was decided when folks of our type retired, we drew this from a private fund, but we could still draw Social Security in addition, but a reduced amount of about half of what we normally receive. Recently, this decision was reversed and made retroactive to January 2024. We basically received a refund check for that year, and henceforward will receive the full amount. May seem unfair, but keep in mind our Social Security is based on what one would receive for working about 14 years, as we worked Social Security jobs before and after retirement, and we had part-time Social Security jobs during those 35 years. I agree with that. And if you don't understand that, there's certain government jobs that have separate retirement funds, like a private company would have a pension. And if you work for a private company your whole career and you get a pension, that doesn't count against you. I get 2 pensions plus my Social Security. It doesn't hurt my Social Security, but in this case, unfairly, it penalized these government workers that got this paid into a separate system. What they're saying is, hey, yeah, I paid into that separate system, but I paid also in other jobs into Social Security, so I should get out of Social Security what I'm entitled to based on what I paid in. And that's all they're saying, and that's totally fair. It's the same as the private sector, so they did correct that. Let's see. My sister Margaret says on the little house, looks wonderful. What a find. Well, this was good information that I didn't know. Mike Cerny says, hey, Rob, great talk. You mentioned doing direct deposit instead of taking a check. I believe there's only 2 options for getting your Social Security now, either direct deposit or a debit card for those who don't have any bank account. So no longer send checks in the mail, at least not in Minnesota. As far as Social Security running out, growing up, we always heard it was going to run out one day. And our mindset was it would run out before we retired, so we'd never see a Social Security check. I can remember thinking that. That's why we invested in retirement. Now, here we are, and lo and behold, there's still Social Security. I turned 65 in November, semi-retired, and started drawing in January. But there's still Social Security. I supplement that with my retirement. Income and life is good. I see so many people thinking and trying to keep the same amount of money they're retired with, thinking the money is going to run out or they have to leave it to their families. I'm single and want to enjoy the time I have to enjoy life and hopefully die broke. I hope this isn't part too political, but for all the years we've heard about Social Security going broke, I think this could have been fixed if our government would worry more about fixing our own issues before wasting money on other countries we have no business supporting. That is political. I do agree with it should have been fixed. They've kicked the can down the road. But I will say, Mike, I didn't know there were no more checks. I found out there have been checks in like 20 years. I had no idea. So he's right. You either get a direct deposit or a debit card. Who'd have thunk? I thought checks were still going out. Bad on me. There's an example of I've done a lot of research, done a lot of stuff for the past couple of years, and I missed that one. I missed it. Excellent info, JB Nabira says. I got another. We hear about this on everyone. The Renogy inverter fails to run a microwave. 2 years ago, I did this solution video on wiring up an inverter to it was a real mystery until I figured out I was using a breaker switch that was rated correctly, but it was cheap junk, and it was restricting the flow of electricity through to my inverter when I ran my microwave, and it would fail with low voltage. When I spent some money and got a real fuse that was rated correctly, it solved the problem. And this guy is saying, after watching your video, I tested, took the breaker out after 4 months of issues and upgrades. Now it all works perfectly. Much appreciate your efforts to highlight this issue. I'll install a T-fuse when it's delivered. Yeah. I get one of the... Oh, there's another one. Same day. Did you run the inverter through the shunt? I'm having similar problem running the AC. Shuts down after about 2 minutes. Flashes all 12 volt. Does not run in. It does run through the same breaker. I thought it may be running through the shunt. Maybe not. Yeah, mine goes through the shunt. The shunt doesn't restrict the flow at all. But if you've got a breaker switch or a fuse that isn't a good one, that could be it. Now, Medicare mistakes to avoid is I did the Social Security one. I alluded to Medicare, and then I got a bunch of comments on Medicare, so I thought I'd do a separate Medicare video, so I did that. And Stacy Jones says, thank you. Wanda Hope Wandering, thanks for the content about Medicare. Should not be this complicated. Also, where's George? I guess I missed that one. Right there. George is right there. Keith Brookshire, my first car. Oh, this is on the Mustang video. My first car was a 1965 Mustang, and I still own it. After 43 years, it's 3 months older than it's well option 2. If I remember correctly, I had a list price of just over $3,000 when new. Wow. Mario Fuentes, thanks for sharing this information about Medicare. Very useful. David Cassidy. Rob, I just went through the Medicare process myself and can say you are spot on. Be leery of any agent who tries to hard sell routine for the Advantage plans. They are just looking to line their own pocket. The commissions they receive for Advantage plans are about double what they receive for a supplement plan. I don't know if it's double or not, but I do know that it's more lucrative. And if someone's giving you the hard sell on an Advantage plan, especially if you're a nomad, don't walk, run away. Dana Hess, I know more than I did, just enough to get in trouble. Where do you find this insurance broker you're getting advice from? How much do you pay them? And if you're not paying, then how do you know they can be trusted? And they aren't getting paid to send you someplace. I said, look, Donna, I can't help you with a broker. You have to use a friend or a family member referral. The one I used was from Nevada. So they're regional. There's some that have national presence. But the one, I've had good and bad luck. Let me tell you what happened. The one I had is called Battleborn Insurance Agency in Pahrump, Nevada. They were great. They were fantastic. But then in the process of moving here to New Mexico, there's a guy named, well, I'm not going to say names. There's a guy on the internet that's an expert on Social Security, and he says he refers to this big agency that it says can be trusted. So I kind of trusted him, so I called that big agency, and it was a terrible experience. What I ended up doing, and those of you that are moving, I suggest they do that. If you're happy with the insurance company you have, now I had 2 insurance companies in Nevada. One was Ace Insurance. You might not have heard of that, but it's a big company. It's a huge insurance company. That was for my Plan G supplement plan, and I had AARP United Healthcare for the Plan D, the medicine, the medications, not medicine, medications. So the agency I called was trying to get me to switch to all these different things, and they really weren't answering my questions adequately. So I said, look, I'll call you back Monday. And I got off that call. And I called Ace, and I said, do you also do policies in New Mexico? And they said, yeah, we do. And we'll write. They walked me through writing a whole new policy, but kept everything the same. My number, everything's the same thing. I called the United Healthcare on the Plan D, and yes, and I saved a ton of money. I went from the same company, same coverage, from I think it was $158 in Nevada, and it was $116 a month here. And I think I went down about $10 a month on the Plan D. But everything's the same. And here's the other thing. I have an expensive medication that required pre-authorization. All right, and that took a little while. It took a little effort. The doctor has to go to some effort and fill out some forms and answer questions. If I went to a new Plan D after moving, I have to go through that again. Because I stayed with United Healthcare, they told me, and it takes effect next month. I'll let you know if ends up not being true. They said no, everything stays the same, and you don't need to do another pre-authorization. So that's what happened with me, and so yeah, like any insurance agent, whether they're selling you auto insurance or home insurance or health insurance, they're getting paid by the insurance company. And someone pointed out here earlier that it's very likely, and I think it's absolutely true, that the Advantage plans pay more commission than the Medicare plans. So, if there's a broker out there that knows that that's not true, please put it in the comments, because I'm not 100% true on that. But I do know that Advantage plans can be great for some people and problematic for others. And clearly, in the video, the video is about nomads, and that why Advantage plans can be problematic for nomads unless you're not traveling far from your domicile, your home base, and you're able to go back there easily to get medical care. And if, like, my big thing was, hey, if I get cancer and I determine for my type of cancer, my research says the best place is in Keokuk, Iowa, I want to be able to go there and not have a regional Advantage plan tell me that's out of network for them. So that's why I'm spending the extra money. Like, I'm spending, it's $116 a month instead of the probably zero for the Advantage plan. So it's costing me what's 116 times 12, what, about $1,200. 116 times 12 is 116 times 12 is $1,392, $1,400. It's costing me for that peace of mind, for one, being able to go anywhere in the country without worrying. I just need to find a Medicare provider, any Medicare provider, and I'm fine. And the other thing is that with an Advantage plan, the insurance company can deny claims and make it harder for you to get the care that you need, and require pre-approval for many, many things that it's not the case with Medicare. And Medicare supplement, you're just in the Medicare system. You're not, even though an insurance company, I told you Ace Insurance sold me their plan. Well, they're just administering that plan. They're not able to make decisions about claims. That's a very important distinction. All the approval and decline goes through Medicare, and all they do is they pick up my coinsurance and my deductible, and the coinsurance and copays. They pick up for Part A and Part B. I'm getting complicated, aren't I? Sorry, didn't mean to. But anyway, Diana Haas, find a close friend or relative that has a really good experience with an insurance broker that will have your best interest at heart, regardless of the commission they get. That's the way to do it. Unless you're in Pahrump, then I would just say go to Battleborn. They're good. Controller, great information, Rob. I have 7 years before I take Medicare, and knowledge is power. Have a great day and loving the videos. Cheers, from Dave. Oh God, we're an hour. Wow. Good one. Good info, Rob. Just wanted to add that if you retire early, first year has a monthly cap on income, then it goes to a yearly cap. J Step, if you're a van life or a person who has changed locations from time to time, there is no advantage in a Medicare Advantage program. You lose flexibility, and that's required for travelers. Just my opinion, but a lot of people would never go Advantage for any reason. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's true that many people wouldn't, but I know people that are very successful and love their Advantage plans. So, and the quality of them, it varies by company and it varies by state. You just need to do research. Deanie Evans, the video was super helpful. You broke it down in understandable terms. Glad that we have someone as smart as you are to unwind the spaghetti mess called Medicare. Thank you for all that you do. Safe travels, my friend Dottie and George. And keep in mind, I'm not an expert. That's why a really good, trusted insurance broker is so important. Utah Jeff, in 1948, there were 22 taxpayers. Social Security to one person receiving. 2024, only 2 taxpayers paying for one person receiving. That's the problem. Solution: change to age 70, raise the tax higher than currently 14%. Anyone having over $400,000 in income do not qualify. Social Security disability cases need to be monitored better. Very fraud driven, especially by attorneys. And my response was, why not send your ideas to your congressional representative? It's great to put them here, but put them to use. Send them to your. Those are good ideas. Thanks for responding. My daughter works for Social Security in Salt Lake, so I get regular updates. Many of these ideas are in the works right now. Does not seem popular with Congress as it's very hot potato. They seem to think it's going to magically fix itself. Watch your video almost daily, doing a great job. Yeah, I'm sure they're in the works, but I'm sure it'd be easy for you to email that information to them. It's just one more constituent saying, hey, this is what you need to do. I'd encourage anybody to do that. Harvey Bruce says, that was a very good explanation of Medicare. It's way more complicated than it needs to be. Also, something else when you get Plan G is the premium can raise every year. And I think there's a couple of ways they do it where I live. One is called age attained and the other is called community based. Yeah, it's different. The age based one is cheaper in the beginning, but as you age, and community based is based on the increases are based on where you live, which is better, but it's more expensive to start with, but it's not offered in every state. Complicated again, sorry. And yeah, the premium can raise every year. And also, but keep in mind the regular Medicare, the Part A and B, and it's really the premium for the B that comes out of your Social Security check, that raises every year too, but maybe not as much as the Plan G. One more thing is Plan D, you're not held to one pharmacy. Some drugs are different prices at different pharmacies. Absolutely true. So Todd Dunn says, one thing you should have said about Medicare supplement is that all plans of a given letter are the same independent of the company and premium. In other words, all G plans have exactly the same benefits. Medicare Advantage plans also have deductibles and co-pays. They generally limit the maximum, read more out of pocket, but also can limit, can be $7,000 plus. There are 2 different types of plans. HMO plans provide no coverage at all out of network except for emergency room, and PPO plans that do provide for out of network coverage, but with substantially higher deductibles, co-pays, and out of pocket limits. Another thing is every state has a program called SHIP, which provide you with free help with choosing Medicare coverage. And I said, thanks for letting me know things I should have covered. I mean, these are important things. And to be fair to me, I was trying to keep it simple, but these are, he had some very important points here that are, if you're in the process, it's worth knowing those things. Lisa Roth. Hey, Lisa. Very nice explanation, Rob. PTL Jimmy G. Teacher Rob, as usual, great video. I'm learning. Remember, I'm 70, not that bright. So Teacher Rob, keep teaching. Maybe, just maybe something will connect to my brain. Thank you, Rob. Greg Miller says, thanks for the info. Topaz Farmer Travels, good information for when the time comes. Beverly Chrisman Pen Pal Club. Art Bell was a legend. He was very well known over the world. He was famous. His program Coast to Coast and other programs that he did. He was married to that Filipino lady, and she died, passed away quite a deal. But he stopped the show because he was afraid for his family's safety. I wonder who has the house now. And I think I know. I think it's still in his family. I think his family, his surviving family members still have that house. That's what I heard when I was in Pahrump anyway. Chris B says, excellent explanation. The only other thing is add that if you don't choose a supplement during your initial enrollment guaranteed issue period, you cannot be denied. Very good point, Chris. It may be impossible to switch from Advantage to supplement later on, as you'll have to undergo medical underwriting to qualify and may be denied for pre-existing conditions. So it's a good strategy to think, oh, I'll sign up. So it's not a good strategy to think, oh, I'll sign up for free Advantage plan until I develop health issues. There's a lot more here, and I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to read it all, but that is a really good point. When you first get Medicaid, it's a free pass to get a supplement program. And after you do that, the free pass is over and you can be denied and you might not be able to get one. Nancy Madero says, do you have to pick an Advantage plan or can you just stick with A and B? You can just stick with A and B and pay the co-payments of the co-insurance if you want. The co-payments depend on what the procedures are. The co-insurance is generally 20%. Robert Edwards, hey Rob, met you briefly at Roadrunner one day. I must have been in the market. I'm thinking about doing the same thing you did, getting a small place. Sorry if I missed it, but what does it run a month? I'm sorry, I'm just not the kind of details I'm going to be revealing. So it's affordable for me. Dr. Ed Weir is an expert on Social Security. I find his channel informative. He's developed a group called Chapter that will help us navigate the Medicare system for free, and they do not push HMOs. Yeah, I watch him a lot. I didn't have a great experience with Chapter. Maybe I got the guy answering the phone was just not very well trained, but he didn't couldn't or wouldn't answer questions and was pushing me towards things that I didn't think were appropriate for me. So I was kind of disappointed in that, but that could have been just the guy answering the phone. Who knows? And interestingly enough, the first day I called, they said, we're closed for the day for training to serve you better. So we're not going to be answering the phone today. Judy Jennings, testing to see if I'm able to post a comment. Well, Judy, you did. It posted. Then she did a comment. I would like to add, just in case Rob did not mention, anyone who has Advantage plan should seriously consider a separate policy to cover cancer treatments. Usually cancer does not get covered completely under Advantage plans. With that being said, not all Advantage plans are equal. I didn't know that. And that's definitely, if you're going to get an Advantage plan, I would read the fine print about cancer. If there's limitations on covering cancer treatments, I mean, what percentage of people, people either generally heart disease or cancer or both, right? That's the way many of us check out. Sorry, just one more thing. If a Medicare Advantage plan is what you decide on, try to sign up with a not-for-profit insurance company. This can be challenging. If you're retired, I work for a not-for-profit healthcare company. While the company offered Medicare Advantage plans, and some procedures required prior authorizations, those procedures were in line with Medicaid prior authorization requirements. Interesting. Another thing I didn't know. Tommy says, an important thing to stress is that $185 per month is for Part B. Only Part A is free for most people because they pay for it via payroll Medicare taxes. I didn't know that one either, and I think that's true. Jerry Grandestaff says, love this on 94 years old in good health, positive news video. Virginia Hankery, it's always interesting to see what people order. This video was good. Would love to see a few more. I did this video on I'm just going to talk about the last 10 things I bought on Amazon, just for fun. Cotty Wample says, I have a question regarding nomad vehicle maintenance. Okay. What is the deepest you go into general maintenance before you take it to a professional to do? Putting gas in. There's your answer. Let's see. Susan Jack, ordering from Amazon is very convenient. You can find anything. I have to limit myself. Me too. CD Kavita Adventures, Charlie and Diane, great video. Amazon is way too easy. Love the video. Nancy Banderas, cool studio for whatever you want it to be. Crispy, great topic, loved it. I love the Starbucks instant coffee as well when I'm in the van. I just got so tired of cleaning up coffee grounds in a small van and wasting that extra water washing up the mess. It's really pretty good for instant coffee. Let's see. Cushman, thanks for the update on George. Transfer things from the trailer with his scent on it before you go in. Some of his toys, old litter, new box, blanket, etc. Cats hate change. Good luck. Jim Bean, Dottie sure likes that couch. My dog took over my recliner like that 5 years ago. Judy Jenny, thanks for mentioning George's whereabouts. Beginning to wonder if your buddy Pup Camper Tucker took him. Hiker 97, I've been on Advantage plan and it's worked out great. Since my Social Security is so low, I also qualify for Medicaid, which picks up most copays and deductibles. The bad news, I'm going to have to change my domicile later this year. RV Life, thanks for telling us about George. Joella Janice, I'm sure George will enjoy checking out the new space. Oh, George moved. I don't know where he went. Where'd George go? George, kitty, kitty. Kitty. All right. Where did the kitty go? Did you find a place to hide, George? Ah, just behind the couch. Look, George likes hiding behind the recliner in the trailer, so now he's hiding behind the couch. I think that probably make him a little calmer. I'm sure George will be enjoying that new space. Thanks for sharing your journey. Are you using your Starlink? Sure. Yeah, I do. That's from Brad Pennington. Lisa, hey, George, Dottie, and Rob. I drank instant coffee the entire time I was in the van because it was easier. I was unaware at the time that Starbucks even made an instant. Now I have a small can in my cupboard just in case. Thank you. Edie Ron, as usual, I love your videos. I drink brewed and instant coffee. Depends on how I feel when I'm ready for coffee. This is instant. It's also cold because I haven't been drinking it. Fixed red wagons over 10 years. I sat in front of a big picture window of a huge 2-story cabin we were all staying in. I sat there looking out over the terrain further down the mountain where it faded into grassland, then to desert, and out towards the Capitan Mountains on the other side. While everyone else headed downstairs, I stayed behind and kept looking out the window and wept because I knew how things were and that I might not see the Southwest or some of these people again for a very long time. I also wept for how things used to be. But some people are like oil and water and you can't force them to mix. We are not wired for death and need help. May God bless you and yours. And that was a response to thoughts for the day I did a while ago, sort of my little philosophical in fixed red wagons. John joined in the philosophical discussion. What's going on here? I'm not. Let's reload. Is that really the last one? A day ago? There's been no comments today? That doesn't seem reasonable. So let's re-click on everything. And we will go Community. Yeah. Sorry. For some reason, a bunch of these things disappeared. But you know what? It's 74 minutes. I've done enough. I'll pick this up later. Thanks for watching, and sorry it went so long today.